Okay, our next presentation, and it will speak for itself, is Dance for Healthy Ageing. It's from the health promotion team, and Amy's sitting in the wings there as well. But Eloise is going to be presenting. Eloise is a senior physiotherapist with our district in health promotion, and she always has had a passion for healthy ageing, and one of the main concepts being evaluated in this is the role of dance, music and movement and fun as a fall prevention and healthy ageing strategy across cultures within our district. Just make that a bit shorter from a time point of view. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for having me speak today. I've got a speaker, so you can expect perhaps to be moving soon, so that'll be good. Just a heads up, just a heads up. And thank you for the lovely introduction. Today I'll be speaking a little bit about dance as an option for healthy ageing. And it seems quite fitting because it was actually at the annual Fall Forum last year where interest was initially sparked in the Dance Health Alliance and their programs Dance Wise and Dance Moves. So I'm looking forward to sharing our journey, findings, and I guess our plans within this space as well. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the country that we are meeting on today and recognise that we are privileged to live and work on Aboriginal land. I also pay respect to traditional custodians, elders both past and present, and all Aboriginal people attending this forum today. So a bit of background, health promotion and the team which I work within is really responsible for planning, coordinating, evaluating, and looking at both new and existing programs that exist that support both healthy eating, active living, and most definitely healthy ageing within our district. And when we came across the Dance Health Alliance, they were excited to be involved, I suppose, with our rural district, and they are the founders of the Dance Wise and Dance Moves programs, which we'll talk a little bit about today. These programs are both really inclusive exercise as dance programs that support all levels of movement ability, cognition, and of course, mental health backgrounds as well. So a little bit of an overview. First of all, why dance? What's the background to it? What's the benefit of it? The second section will look at the two programs in more detail, so Dance Wise and Dance Moves, and from a health promotion perspective, how we plan on evaluating these programs as well. And the third is pretty much as it sounds. Get ready to move. We'll see how we go. All right, so first of all, why dance? There are many reported benefits. I think on a quantitative and qualitative level, these are the most common themes that we'll go through together. First of all, dance, it can be a really great aerobic activity depending on the type of music, the speed, the rhythms that you choose. So it's really good at getting people moving, perhaps in a distracted manner. They're moving without realising they actually are. It's also a good low-level form of resistance training, albeit, yes, it is a body-weighted form of exercise, but really we can use speed, rhythm, movement, and even, isometric forms of activity to build resistance within muscle. It's really great for reaction timing, spatial and sensory awareness, and I think we've heard today on the importance of dual tasking, particularly, I suppose, from a falls prevention perspective. So being able to look at that ability to follow someone constantly or copy movements or change at different speeds and directions is quite essential for navigating external environments within falls. It's flexible, there's no sets or reps, and I suppose, yes, obviously exercise is critical that it is specific and repetitious, but we also want it to be really fun. And I think that's where dance brings this element of additional preference, I suppose, in that it can be really inclusive. We can dance literally wherever we are. We can dance sitting down, we can dance standing up, and having someone confident to follow in that ability is really motivating as well. Dance, and particularly music, obviously can evoke a lot of positive and in some cases quite negative memories. And I suppose with cognitive recall and in subgroups like individuals with dementia, it can be really powerful. It can really bring people together that perhaps wouldn't expect to be brought together. So it's a really, really meant to be a really comforting environment to move within. Obviously, from that, we do see great social connections arise, and there is some good research to support its use within mental health as well. I think when we look at our particular district, music really is embedded in so many different cultures, and we have a very, very multicultural society, and having the ability to even tell stories through music and empower people within the population to use their culture as a way of telling stories and music through dance and exercise is quite powerful. The programs which we'll move on to in a moment, anyone can facilitate them. So that's really important from a capacity building point of view, that we empower our existing workforce to be able to deliver these programs. And finally, there is some really good recent evidence for virtual delivery of these programs. When we look at the benefits more so though from a health promotion perspective, I want to introduce a metaphor. You may have already heard of it, but this is a stream, okay? And when we zoom out and we look at the bigger picture of health and health promotion, we have three key areas among this stream. We have an upstream approach, which is very, very prevention focused. So we're trying to stop a health condition, a health concern, a determinant from actually entering this stream in the first place. If we move further down the stream, we enter the midstream approach, which is really looking at targeting determinants, having early interventions in place to stop that health condition or concern from progressing further. But we absolutely appreciate that health is also a downstream approach as well. So we know that treatment and rehabilitation is critical within this aspect, but really we're just looking at, I guess, programs that can cover all aspects of health promotion, and most importantly in this downstream element, how we can reduce the impact of secondary complications or impact on the healthcare system itself. Coming back into dance, it's quite flexible, and these two programs that we'll have a bit of a chat about will fit anywhere on this stream. We can look at open community-based programs to facilitate young and older adults just simply moving through exercise, or we might be able to target subgroups within our population, whether that be culturally and linguistically diverse communities, regions with high fall hospital admission rates, or even our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. And as we move more into that midstream area, early balance challenges, history of falling, fear of falling, loneliness, they're all critical determinants that if we can screen early for, can be a really great intervention for as well. And finally, we can't deny that there is evidence to support dance's use for Parkinson's disease, other neurological conditions, but as I've already mentioned, mental health, depression, anxiety, MS and dementia, and definitely supports use within the residential aged care facilities as well. So quite flexible to be, I guess, applied in multiple different settings. All right, this section, I just want to touch on the two programs that the Dance Health Alliance offer. And so the first one is called Dance Wise, which is a fully seated half-an-hour program. So really quite good for anyone with a lower limb movement restriction, or even just simply someone who maybe doesn't have the confidence to start in a standing position whilst they're transitioning into exercise, for example. The other program is Dance Moves, which is a 15-minute sitting program with a transition to half an hour in that standing position. So all up about 45 minutes in total. And these programs are quite unique. I liked learning about how they refer to everyone as dancers within the group. So everyone has a really level playing field when entering, and there's never any rights or wrongs. There's no lefts or rights. There's no sets or reps. It's really encouraging people to move as they feel comfortable on that particular day, because we know that various health conditions can obviously present differently day to day as well. Stepping back, I guess, into a semi-clinical viewpoint, I just wanted to run through a few of the training concepts that are frequently used within these programs. The first is when we use music and different songs and speeds, it mimics interval training. So if we have a look at the dots on that little graph there, those dots represent songs. And like every kind of exercise, we want to start gentle. We want to start with a warm-up. So we're going to start with a slow speed song, and then we're going to build up, get the heart rate pumping, get the laughter happening, and then we might drop it back down into something a little bit slower. So it's a nice way of thinking about cardiovascular fitness targeting. Dance also integrates quite a lot of brain training. It's a lot of sequence recalling. It might be that you ask them to copy you at that moment, but then 3 songs later, ask them to do that again. So it's a lot about in that moment being able to recall immediate memories and sequence recall as well. That obviously brings in an element of reaction timing, and we know with falls particularly, being able to navigate the external environment and react on the spot is really, really imperative. So it's quite effective at being able to use that as a technique as well. Putting my physio brain on for a second, we know that in our mid-swing phase of our gait cycle, we need really good foot clearance. So we need to be able to clear the foot and have adequate dorsiflexion to be able to get through that mid-swing phase. And naturally, when we like music, we tap our foot. We don't notice we're doing it. We just get into the rhythm and we do that. So I personally really like this as a promotional factor for increasing ground clearance, but also for falls prevention strategies. Social interactivity, looking, smiling, being able to target that element of loneliness that we do see within the ageing space is really, really important. And being able to promote emotional connection and memory recall through, who sang that song or what movie was that song from? It's about that dual tasking, encouraging repetitive movement and action, but also asking cognitive recall questions as well. Alongside the concepts used, the program is really heavily based on a principle that was definitely new to me, but it is called lay band movement. And this type of movement categorises into 4 different components. The first is direction. So we can have really, really direct movement, or we can have very indirect movement. And when I think of this anatomically for a moment, it really resonates with planes of movement, balance, proprioception, and even ability to move between those planes from the perspective of direction. Movement can be heavy or light, which I think really mimics or resonates well with resistance training. Movement can be quick or sustained, which I think really resonates with reaction timing, spatial awareness, and our aerobic activity principles. And finally, it can be very bound or it can be very free, which I guess having flexibility in movement and moving how that individual feels on that given day is really important to reiterate. So where are things up to now? In January 2024, we had 14 staff from targeted community LGAs and MPS residential aged care facilities within Western Health trained following an expression of interest process. We had lots of different staff backgrounds trained, and we had 8 regions as a starting point. What I found really quite positive, we had great feedback from the training, yes, but it's more so that if programs aren't currently being run, they are about to be run. So I think being involved in a program that is enjoyable, and I have some photos of the training that took place this year. So really fun. You'll see a few familiar faces up there that have been trained in this room, but it is, I guess, a space where even from a workforce perspective, being able to come together with people in our district and have fun and laugh and move. It was really quite empowering. So yeah, definitely a fun training to be involved in. As part of reviewing these programs, however, within our district, our health promotion team also need to evaluate how does this work? Who does it work best for? So at the start of each program, we will absolutely be looking at demographic details, who engages in these programs the most. On a community level, we are looking at fall history, unsteadiness, mobility history, engagement with exercise and activity at that point in time, loneliness questionnaires and functional efficacy scales. Whereas in our aged care facilities, yes, we'll definitely still look at fall and loneliness history, but more specific questionnaires that are appropriate within that setting, and a weekly pre and post-session feedback tool as well. Finally, we obviously appreciate outcome measures are really critical. So where we can and where it is appropriate with individuals, we will look at the 10-metre walk test, 30-second chair stand test, timed up and go, and single leg stance test. But obviously depends on the setting and the individuals that you're working with in that sense. We're also aiming to seek feedback from carers. Carers are absolutely welcome to attend all of these programs, and we actually encourage it because when you've got the carer support, that ability to resonate with the individual, but the music and the movement is really quite powerful. So we definitely want to look at the carer experience throughout these programs. And also our facilitators. I think it provides a really unique opportunity to report any subjective improvements that otherwise aren't collected through our routine objective data. But we're definitely wanting to look at the sustainability of these particular community and residential aged care programs within our district. But look, very long story short, this is all part of our value care plan where we aim to look at reach, engagement, participant numbers, particularly within our priority populations, cost effectiveness, and our falls in aged care and their associated harm scores, and more so on a community level, that individual's likelihood to continue with exercise beyond the program. I think building pathways from programs that perhaps are 10 weeks long or 7 weeks long is really important that we actually say, okay, great, we've finished this program. This is what is available in your local community now. So definitely looking at those pathways. But I'll be very honest, it's all in progress. I do not have any data or anything like that to present today, unfortunately, but hopefully over the next year, as we continue to look into the sustainability of these programs as fun alternates to exercise, we'll be able to feed that back. All right. Let's get you all moving. So we are going to do a little demo, okay? And so I'm going to invite Lucy and Sharon to come up the front with me, who are also trained in these programs in January. I will be very honest in saying that these programs aren't developed to be done, obviously, in these spaces. And we actually start sitting down and we transition into a standing position. So sorry to get you to sit back down.
Can you please tell the virtual participants that they won't hear this? It goes out as background, and just tell them what song it is.
No
Just so they know.
worries. Yep, no problem. So for all of our participants virtually attending, we are going to be dancing in a seated position into a standing. The song we'll be dancing to, if you want to play along at home, is called Never Gonna Dance Again, which is a wonderful song suggestion by Ash. So thank you. Thank you for the tip. All right, now bear with me as I get the speaker all going, and just please be aware of your surroundings. Yeah, definitely only move as you feel comfortable today. Thank you, everyone, and well done. Your dance moves are